everyone, and welcome to Yoga for Beginners. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tara, and I'm super excited to welcome you to this 4-week Yoga for Beginners course, which is actually suitable for people who have practiced yoga as well, but is really great for anybody who has not practiced yoga before, or who has and didn't necessarily connect to the type of yoga that they were learning. So the type of yoga I teach is a very gentle form of yoga which incorporates breath and movement and a little bit of sound. It has very little to do with flexibility, although that is kind of an added benefit of practicing yoga. But what I hope to show you is that yoga can actually be a very restorative and very nourishing practice, and it can really help to enhance and rediscover our connection with nature, but also with ourselves. So before we begin, just a few things. If you are under the supervision of a doctor, then just double check with them that it's okay for you to be practicing yoga. It generally is, but I don't ever want to recommend it if it's contraindicated for certain people. If you are in the early stages of pregnancy, again, just check with your GP. It's a very gentle type of yoga, but for the first 16 weeks of pregnancy, it's kind of generally not recommended to do anything due to morning sickness and a whole host of other things that could be going on. In order to practice today, you're just going to need a mat or a blanket if you don't have a mat, or a few rolled up towels, or a really comfy carpet. It's generally nice to have something soft underneath. A blanket if you have one, for the relaxation at the end. And I always like to have a couple of cushions to sit on, like this one, and just to have something nice and soft under my bum. And this also helps to lift our hips and to stop us kind of collapsing into our backs like this. So if you don't have any of these things, give me a pause and go and have a look and grab them. If you do, then great. So we're going to start, we're going to start every practice really every week with a breath awareness exercise, which helps to anchor us in our body and anchor us into the practice. And it really is just an opportunity for us to check in with how we're feeling, to check in how we're breathing, to check in how our body is. And it's a really powerful way, to be able to just observe what is going on in the landscape of our body, but also in our minds. It's not always comfortable for us to be still, but the breath is really a fundamental part of yoga. It's something that is accompanied by the movement, and if we're not breathing properly, then the energy that we're trying to bring into the body, the energy that we're trying to unlock in the body, that's not gonna work, and it's not gonna really have a very positive effect. So it's important for us to be aware of our breath, and I'll constantly kind of be referencing the breath throughout the practice. It doesn't matter if you haven't had a breath practice before. It's not complicated or hard. It is really just going to start with an observation of how we're breathing, and then an invitation on how that feels in our bodies, with with awareness of how we're breathing and whether we could breathe a little bit deeper or not. There's always a choice, so please don't feel like you need to worry about the breath practice, okay? So let's find ourselves in a very comfortable seated position. I like to sit cross-legged, but you can sit on a chair if you like, or on a bolster. You can sit on the couch, just as long as your spine is kind of lengthened and straight, and a comfortable seated position that you can stay in for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, okay, without getting pins and needles. So just giving yourself a little bit of time to really find that position. And once you've found it, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And together we're going to take 3 deep breaths. We're going to inhale through the nostrils and exhale through the mouth. So we're going to take 3 more. So inhaling through the nose, and this time seeing if you can make a little bit of noise on the exhale. So we're almost sighing out the exhale. So this kind of sighing, this releasing, really helps us to kind of drop down into our bodies. So you might get a real sense of release and relief as you do that. So let's do that 3 more times. So inhaling through the nose. And then just coming back to your natural breath, keeping the eyes closed, breathing in through the nose if it's comfortable and out through the nose. And just observing the breath. So noticing where the inhale gets to. Does it move past the upper chest, all the way down into the ribs and the belly? Is the inhale longer than the exhale? You can place a hand on the belly if that helps, just to feel if there's that belly breath happening. Don't worry if there's not. But if there's not, maybe seeing if you can breathe into that hand. So babies breathe like this. If you've ever watched a baby breathe, their little bellies go in and out, and we gradually lose that ability to breathe into the belly as we get older, which is why so many of us experience shortness of breath, and it feels like our breath is very much centered in the chest. So you can have one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest, and I'd encourage you to see if you can follow the breath as it passes through the nose, the chest and the belly. You should feel a slight lift or expansion in the chest and in the belly. And if this feels totally strange to you, that's a-okay. So just observing the breath. We're not trying to change the breath in any way. We're just trying to cultivate an awareness of how we're breathing. So as you inhale, the breath fills the body. It's that gentle rising of the body, and then noticing on the exhale how everything just kind of drops in and down. So there's a sense of surrender. There's a sense of everything kind of just being let go. So if we start to think about the breath as an opportunity, each breath is an opportunity for us to welcome in fresh energy on the inhale, and an opportunity to let everything out that is no longer needed on the exhale. Expansion, surrender. New beginnings, letting go. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. You might begin to notice ever so slightly that the inhale and the exhale are becoming a little bit more equal. There's a bit more of a balance to your breath as we begin to draw inwards and slow down. The breath naturally adjusts. So even this simple breath of having one hand on the heart space or the chest, and one hand on the belly where the womb space is held, and just breathing into the hands and exhaling has a really powerful effect on our mind and our body without us really having to do anything. This is a breath practice. Maybe noticing what's happening to you right now. Does it feel as if things are becoming a little bit stiller? Or is the mind still racing? If the mind is still racing, that's okay. Just see if you can bring that awareness back into the hands. Feel the weight and the heat of the hands on the body. Focus on the fingers, the palms. Really connecting to that sense of touch to keep you in the body and out of the mind, even if it's just for one tiny moment. Now releasing the hands, bringing the hands onto the knees, and maybe allowing the crown of the head, so the top of the head, just to move up towards the sky a little bit so that the spine feels nice and long, so we're not collapsing into the back. And keeping an awareness on the heart space, the chest and the belly. As you inhale, visualizing the heart space just moving up a little bit and expanding into the space in front of you. And as you exhale, the heart just moves down. There's a very gentle dropping into the lower half of the body. So as we inhale, we expand. And as we exhale, we surrender. So this is a very subtle movement. But it's really just to reinforce that feeling of expansion and growth, and that feeling of surrender and letting go that naturally arises in the body when we breathe. And teaches us a valuable lesson in how to live our lives. So throughout the practice today, I'd like you to try and keep an awareness on the breath wherever it's possible. Okay, it's definitely not going to be possible the whole time. There's going to be moments where you get distracted, and that's absolutely fine. That's totally normal. But seeing if in those moments of distraction you can just come back to this lovely rhythm of breath that is happening in the land of your body. Imagining the breath as a cycle of inhale and exhale. Now we're going to bring the hands to the heart. So the palms are going to come in front of the heart space into a little prayer pose with a bit of a gap in between the palms so that we're not pressing the palms of the hands against each other. So imagining a little bud or a seed in the middle of the hands that you're protecting. Breathing into the heart space, breathing into the center of the hands. visualizing the breath coming from there and visualizing the exhale traveling into the hands, filling up that space. We're going to bring a little bit of movement into the hands, and you might want to open your eyes just to see this. So inhaling into the heart, heart lifts up. Exhaling, turning the hands all the way flat onto the body to make a little downward pointing triangle where the thumbs and the tips of the fingers are touching, and sliding that mudra or hand symbol down to the womb space here, just below the navel. Inhaling up to the heart and exhaling down to the womb space. And you can have the gaze on the hands if that helps. It helps to keep the mind focused on the breath. Inhaling to the heart. And if it helps to sigh the breath. Inhale. And then as you exhale, allowing the hands to move down to the womb space and past the feet all the way down to the earth, touching the earth with your hands, inhaling as the triangle moves forward and all the way up. And you can take the gaze up, look into the center of that triangle, and then as you exhale, turning the hands so that the thumbs and the little fingers are touching like this, and the rest of the fingers are spread wide. So just breathe normally here while I explain. This is Lotus Mudra, and it symbolizes the lotus flower. And then bring the hands all the way back to the heart. So let's do that again. Inhaling at the heart. Exhaling all the way down to the earth. Inhaling up to the sky, taking that gaze up. Exhaling into Lotus Mudra, drawing that energy all the way down past the forehead, the throat, and to the heart. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, we surrender down to the earth. Inhale, we lift up to the sky. Exhale, we surrender down to the earth. Let's do this one more time. Inhale to the heart. Exhale down to the womb space, down to the earth. Inhale, reaching all the way up to the sky. Exhale, drawing that energy down to the heart. So we're going to do the same movement and change it a little bit at the end. So inhaling to the heart. Exhaling down with that Yoni Mudra, touching the earth. Inhaling all the way up to the sky. And this time as we exhale, opening the elbows out to the side, spreading the fingers wide, as if your hands were little nets catching the energy and bringing it all back to the womb space. Inhaling back to the heart. Exhaling down. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Back to the wound space. Bringing the hands to rest on the body. Closing the eyes and visualizing the center of that triangle. Maybe visualizing a little dot or a flower. And as you inhale, the petals of that flower open up and out. And as you exhale, they gather and draw in. So allowing the breath to be whatever it is today in your own body, not trying to change it in any way, just observing it as a visitor. Staying with that image of the petals opening on the inhale and gently closing on the exhale. And then when you're ready, releasing the hands, taking that right hand and bringing it to the outside of the right hip. So again, maybe taking a little bit of a leg stretch if you need to. I definitely do. And sometimes I like to sit with one foot in and one leg outstretched, so it doesn't really matter. So taking that right hand to the outside of the right hip. And as we inhale, we're going to sweep that left arm. So you can walk the hand out a little bit. We're going to inhale and sweep that left arm over. And as we exhale, just letting it drop to the side. Back a little so you can see. So you get that lovely opening along the left side of the body. Then you're going to inhale and going to do it on the opposite side. So you can imagine yourself like a little piece of seaweed just drifting in the sea. Inhaling, lifting up, and then exhaling and surrendering and letting go, so letting the full weight of the body drop over. So we're opening the sides of the body in a very gentle way, without forcing or pushing anything. So inhaling one last time over to the left. Right arm reaches up. Elbow bends. And then inhaling back to the center. Hands come onto the knees. And staying with that awareness of the inhale expanding and the exhale contracting and surrendering, we're going to gently push into the hands, into the knees. And as we inhale, we're going to invite the heart to lift and the gaze to go up towards the sky ever so slightly, so the front of the spine is beginning to open and stretch. And then as we exhale, forming that C shape, rounding the back, chin comes in towards the chest, everything gets hugged in towards the spine. So inhale and exhale. Rounding the back, dropping into the lower back. So I'll do this from the side as well so you can see the range of movement. So we're inhaling and exhaling. And the movement doesn't have to be big. If you're bleeding right now, this movement might feel a little bit uncomfortable. So you can just kind of minimize it a little bit, or even just focus on that expansion and come back to a neutral spine on the exhale. So always check in with how this feels in your own body. Don't just take my word for it. So let's do this one more time. Then coming back to the center, we're going to welcome in some lovely little circles. So circling over to the right, all the way back to the left and into the front. So as we come forward and lift the heart forward, we're inhaling for the first half of the circle and then exhaling as we drop back. Inhale and exhale. So this helps to slow the movement right down. Inhaling as we come forward, exhaling as we go back. And then whenever you're ready, just changing the direction of the circle. Keeping that awareness on your breath. Might help to close your eyes. Sometimes I find that makes me less distracted. I can really feel what's going on. So circling and coming back to the center. Inhale as the heart lifts up ever so slightly, and as you exhale, dropping that right ear down towards the right shoulder, chin to the chest, left ear to left shoulder, and the head can drop back a little bit as you come around. So again, seeing if we can do the first half of this circle with an inhale and the second half with an exhale. If there's any areas of tension, just noticing them, breathing into them. When you're ready, just taking that circle in the opposite direction. Coming back up to the center and just dropping the chin down towards the chest, feeling that lovely stretch in the back of the neck and the shoulder blades. Taking a few breaths here, maybe noticing how different the breath feels when we have this kind of lock in the chin and the throat area. And then with the next inhale, lifting the head and dropping it back. So we're getting a lovely stretch in the front of the neck and the throat. Chest opens. Allowing the upper jaw and the lower jaw to move away from each other. So the mouth can hang open ever so slightly. And then inhaling back to the center, taking the gaze over the right shoulder. As you inhale, bringing the head back to the center, taking the gaze over the left shoulder. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the right. Let's do this one more time on the left. Inhale to the center. to the center. We're going to bring the hands out in front of us, flat like this. So soles or palms of the hands facing the earth. And we're just going to move the wrists from side to side, as if we were wiping a surface. And then making a little fist with the hands, thumbs first. Making a little fist, we're going to rotate the arms and the wrists and the hands to the right. If at any point this gets too full on for the arms, you can just drop them down. Bring the elbows in towards the ribs. And then just changing the direction. And then we're going to open the hands again. We're going to have one palm facing the front, one palm facing you. We're just going to alternate and push into the heels of the hands and really open up those fingers and all of those lovely little joints in the wrists and the hands. Maybe you can do 2 at a time. So noticing how that feels. And then when you're ready, turning the palms so they face the sky. And as we inhale, we're going to bring the palms of the hands to the shoulders. Lift the elbows up. And then exhale. So you might notice a very naturally arising pause at the end of the inhale and the exhale, where the breath just seems to stop. And that's absolutely fine. You can spend a little bit of time there if you like it. It's just what naturally happens before the next round of breath flows in and out. So keeping the hands on the shoulders like this, bringing the elbows out to the sides. We're going to inhale and draw the elbows in towards each other, and then make some lovely little circles. So this is great for anybody who has any neck and shoulder tension. Maybe you're spending a little bit too much time on the computer, or you're doing heavy lifting, you're lifting children. Let's change the direction. Or there might be a lot of emotional strain on your shoulders. This is where we hold a lot of our tension. So these are great movements to just naturally nourish the joints, but also just to release any tension that has built up in the shoulders and the neck. And then relaxing down, interlocking the fingers, and as we inhale, we're going to push the hands away from us, reach the hands out, and then exhale, just let the hands float out to the sides, come back to the center. So inhaling, pushing the hands out, reaching up, and then reaching out. Inhaling, so keeping this nice and slow and gentle. There's no rush. One more time. Then stretching out the legs in front, so you can still have your little cushion under the hips. Having a little gap in between the legs. I'm going to move back so you can see me. And you can come to rest on the hands. So just kind of dropping the weight back into the hands. And we're going to work into the feet now. So similar to what we did with the hands, we're going to inhale and stretch the toes. Hopefully my feet are clean. Inhale, press into the balls of the feet, spread the toes, and then exhale, curling the toes in towards the feet. So inhale, reaching the feet open, or the toes, sorry, exhale. Inhale. So the feet really are very important parts of our body. They help us to feel grounded and connected to the earth. And I feel like they get neglected a lot. Inhale, spread the toes one more time. Exhale, curl those wonderful toes in, and then just coming back to neutral. And we're going to do some lovely little circles. So just circling in one direction, welcoming any creaks and cracks. Feels so nice. And then just changing the direction of the circle. Don't forget to connect to the breath. I sigh a lot when I breathe now because it just really helps me to just drop everything. Coming back to the center, and then similar to what we would do with our hands, we're going to point and flex, point and flex, but really try and be mindful with this. So don't just do the movement quickly. Really point and press into the heel. Lovely. And then coming back to the center, we're going to interlock our hands under that right knee so that the knee is kind of resting into the hands. And as we're going to activate that left heel, so just push very slightly into the heel, just so the foot isn't just like flopping to the side. And as we inhale, we're almost going to pull that knee, so we're working into the knee joint here, in towards the midline. And as we exhale, sliding the foot away. So you don't have to straighten that leg. This isn't about how flexible your hamstrings are. This is all about the knee joint. So bringing the awareness into the knee joint as you do this. And if you like, you can have the foot on the mat. If you want to try and lift the foot ever so slightly, you can. But again, just noticing how that feels in your own body. If that feels like it's putting too much strain on the lower back, then that's compromising the movement. So inhaling, exhaling as you push out. Let's do this one more time. And exhaling. And you might begin to notice a slight difference between the right side now and the left side. So let's bring that interlocking under the left leg. Push into the right heel ever so slightly so that the foot is engaged. Inhale as the knee moves towards the center of the body. Exhale. Inhale. Nourishing that wonderful knee joint, those wonderful knees that support us throughout the day. Inhale. Exhale. Releasing the hands. And then coming back onto the hands again, opening the feet a little bit and moving your awareness up into your hip joints that are here. We're just going to rotate the legs so that left buttock and hip is lifting up away from the ground, and then the right as we swivel from side to side. So this series of movements is a whole series really designed to unlock the joints in the body and to free up stagnant energy and free up that flow of energy so that we can have more energy in our bodies flowing freely. So let's do that one more time on each side. Lovely. And then we're going to bend the knees. And we're going to have the feet flat on the mat if we can, like this. Yeah. And so pushing into the shins, or kind of wrapping the arms around like this, or into the knees so that we're not collapsing into the back. Similar movement to what we did earlier with the expansion of the heart. This is very subtle. We're going to inhale and gently lift the heart. And then exhale. Round the back. Pressing into those feet, keeping us grounded. One more time. Releasing the hands and just allowing the knees to drop to one side. Coming on to hands and knees. I just need to double